Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss part 3 of Geography, Chapter 1 Resources and Development. In the previous class, we learned about land resources. The subtopics that we are going to cover in today's class are soil as a resource, classification of soil, soil erosion, and soil conservation. Now you all can open your geography textbook, page number 7. We will start with the first subheading of today's class, soil as a resource. First, let's analyze the meaning of the term soil. After land, soil is the important resource. It is also a renewable resource. Before learning the meaning of the term soil, first let's analyze how do we get soil. Soil is brought down by the running flow of river. Every time when a river flows, it brings large chunk of plain soils. That is why it is called renewable natural resource. The uppermost layer of the earth's crust, which is loose, broken, and useful for plants, is called soil. Soil is very fragile and very thin top layer of earth's crust formed by mineral particles, organic matter, water, air, and living organisms. Soil consists of mineral matters such as sand and clay and organic matters such as humus, bacteria, and earthworms. Soil is very important for plant growth and it supports different types of living organisms on the earth. Now in the next slide, you can see the soil profile, and even you can refer your textbook figure 1.6. We can see the soil profile. A soil profile means it is a vertical section of a soil. You can see in the slide as well as in the textbook, you can see the soil profile. It is a vertical section of soil, like on the diagram which is shown in the slide. It allows us to examine the structure of the soil. A soil profile is divided into different layers called horizons. We can see the various layers of soil. The first one is the organic layer. Organic layer mainly consists of microorganisms, leaves, or debris. Next is the topsoil. The most important soil and the fertile soil is the topsoil. And the topsoil has all the organic matter that supports the plant growth. Next is the subsoil. The subsoil does not have that much of organic matter and it does not support plant growth. It is light in color and it is more of clay. The next, the parent material and the bedrock that lies just below the subsoil. It contains no organic matter, and it is made up of stones and rocks. So it is very hard. Now let's move on to the next heading, that is classification of soil. Now you can turn the next page of your textbook, page number 8. Classification of soil. The first explanation is about the alluvial soil. You can see the image of alluvial soil in this slide. How an alluvial soil, how it looks like, how it will be. Now let's learn the details of alluvial soil. So alluvial soil is a best soil for agriculture, and it is widespread soil which is found in India. And alluvial soil generally found in the river banks. Alluvial soil is mainly seen in the northern plains. Alluvial soil is formed due to the deposition of fine silt called alluvium by the rivers. As I said, it is found in the northern plains, then the Gujarat plains as well as in the coastal plains. It consists of sand, silt, and clay. The alluvial soil is deposited by three important Himalayan river systems: the Indus River, the Ganga, as well as the Brahmaputra River. These soils also extend in Rajasthan and Gujarat through a narrow corridor. Then the alluvial soil is further divided into two: Khadar and Bhangar. Bhangar is the old alluvium soil, and Khadar is the new alluvium soil. Let's analyze the difference between the Bhangar as well as the Khadar. So, according to the age, these Bhangar soils are called as old alluvial soil. The Bhangar soils have high concentration of Kangar nodules or calcium deposits. And the Bhangar soils, they are less fertile soils, and the grains of these soils are coarse. However, Khadar soils are called new alluvial soils. Grains of these soils are smaller particles and more fine. And comparing to the Bhangar soil, this Khadar soil is more fertile and more suitable for agriculture. And this Khangar soil, the Khadar soil, it contains less concentration of Khangar. Alluvial soil as a whole, it is a fertile soil and rich in potash, phosphoric acid, and lime. As a result, we have good growth of wheat, paddy, pulses, sugarcane, and so on. It is intensively cultivated in India, especially in areas where we have dense population. Because of the higher cultivation in the soil, we have seen that more people coming on these areas, and they settle down in this in the northern plains, or else in the areas where there is alluvial soil is plenty, because alluvial soil is apt for, or else it is suitable for agriculture. So the such areas is densely populated. Alluvial soil is mainly seen in the northern plains, and it is also found in the eastern coastal plains, especially in the deltas of Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, and Kaveri rivers. It is also known as Dors, Chos, and Terre. Now let's move on to the next classification, that is black soil. The black soil, it is also known as Regur soil, and it is commonly seen in Deccan Plateau region. Black soil is good for cotton cultivation. Black soil is of volcanic origin. It is mainly of basaltic rocks, and it is made up of lava flow. Basaltic rock means it is an igneous rock. And this soil is sticky in nature. It is mainly found in the Deccan Trap region. The regions we can see the black soil is the Malwa Plateau region, the Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. So Malwa Plateau means it is in the west and the central India, especially the central part of Madhya Pradesh and southeastern part of Rajasthan. That makes the Malwa Plateau. It's a kind of black soil is a kind of fine clay which can hold moisture, and it expands when it has water, and it contrasts in dry season. The black soil is rich in calcium carbonate, potash, magnesium, and lime. However, it is poor in phosphorus. Now let's move on to the next type of soil, that is red and yellow soil. It is found on crystalline igneous rocks in areas of low rainfall in eastern and southern parts of the Deccan Plateau. It is commonly seen in the parts of Odisha, Chhattisgarh, then southern mid Ganga plain and the western Ghats. Southern mid Ganga plain means the southern and the North India that stretching from Delhi to Kolkata. Then let's analyze about the red color of the soil. The red color of the soil is due to the diffusion of the iron which is present in the crystalline igneous rocks. Diffusion means what? Spreading of something which is more widely, that is known as diffusion. So I'll repeat the point. The red color of the soil is due to the diffusion of the iron which is present in the crystalline igneous rocks. Once it is diffused, it gives the red color to the soil. Red color is the red soil is good for the cultivation of bajra, and the dark color red soil is suitable for wheat, then tobacco, jowar, and so on. However, the same soil becomes yellow when it hydrated with water. So, you have the same soil when it is diffused with iron, it gives the red color, and then hydrated with water, it gives the yellow color. Now, let's move on to the next classification, that is laterite soil. So, laterite soil. The word laterite, it is derived from the Latin word later, means brick. The laterite soil is seen in areas of high temperature and heavy rainfall. Laterite soil is rich in aluminium, iron, and formed in wet and hot tropical areas. It is red in color due to the presence of iron oxides. Laterite soil, it is formed due to the intense leaching activity of the rainfall. So, intense leaching activity. Let's analyze what is the meaning of the term leaching. Leaching means the natural process by which water soluble substances like calcium, fertilizers, and pesticides are washed out from the soil. That is known as leaching. So, laterite soil is formed due to the intense leaching activity of the rainfall. This soil does not hold enough of humus. It is good for manures and fertilizers commonly seen in the southern part and the coastal areas. So, we have Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, and south hilly areas of Odisha and Assam, where we can see plenty of laterite soil. Laterite soil is good for cultivation of tea and coffee. Modification of laterite soil, which is a red laterite soil, seen in the regions of Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. This laterite soil is specifically good for cashew nut cultivation. Now let's move on to the next classification of soil, that is arid soil. The word meaning arid means dry. So this soil is seen in the arid areas or else in the desert areas. Mainly in India, we can see in the areas of Thar desert, we can see the arid soil. It is common to the areas of dry climate where you have high temperature and fast evaporation. It is, let's move on to the color of the soil. As you see in the picture, it is red to brown in color. And this arid soil lacks humus and moisture. There is lower horizons, and in the lower horizons it do have Kangar nodules as seen in the Bhangar soil, which is a kind of alluvial soil. Horizons, here in geography the word horizon means the top layer of the soil is known as horizon. Now let's move on to the last classification of soil, that is forest soil. Forest soil is mainly found in forest of mountainous areas and hilly areas where sufficient rain is available. The soil texture varies according to mountain environment where they are formed. Towards the valley, we have the loam and silty soil. However, towards the upper range, the soil is much more coarse or much more bigger particles as compared to the lower regions where the particles are much finer. In the areas which are covered with snow, the soil is mainly acidic with very low humus content, and in the lower valleys, we have alluvial soil which is highly fertile in nature. That's all about the classification of the soil. Now let's move on to the next heading, that is explaining about soil erosion. What do you mean by soil erosion? Now you can analyze the slide here. You can see how if soil erosion happens, how it looks like, or else how the top layer of the soil look like. So soil erosion means it is the removal of the top soil from one place to another by natural agencies like water or wind. That is known as soil erosion. So in this picture you can see the top soil is completely eroded from one place to another place. And soil erosion is basically wearing away or moving away of the top soil by the action of wind or water. That is known as soil erosion. So, soil erosion is due to two ways. One is due to human activities, and the other is due to natural forces. Human activities. What are the human activities that resulted in soil erosion? We learned in the second part of this chapter, that is overgrazing, deforestation, then what construction activities. All these resulted in soil erosion. So these are the human activities that resulted in soil erosion. Now the next is, what are the natural activities that or else what are the different types of soil erosions? That is the rill erosion, the gully erosion, and the sheet erosion. So as per the syllabus, we will be learning gully erosion as well as sheet erosion. Rill erosion you don't need to learn as per your syllabus. So first let's discuss what is the meaning of the term gully erosion. Gully erosion you can see in the next slide. How if gully erosion happens, how the land looks like, or else how the soil looks like. You can see it is very clear that it looks like a channel. It looks like a deep channel. So, gully erosion means when running water cuts through the clayey soil and makes deep channels as gullies. That is known as gully erosion. Or else the rainwater, when moves down on an uneven land, scoops away the soil and form deep channels called gullies. So, this type of erosion is called gully erosion. A land which is broken into many small parts by the gullies is called bad land, and a bad land is unfit for cultivation or for any other sorts of economic activities. Now let's move on to the another type of soil erosion, that is sheet erosion. It is slightly different from the sheet erosion from the gully erosion. In the gully erosion we learned that it forms like channels. Here you can see it is in the form of sheet, as the name says. Sheet erosion means it is in the form of sheet. So sheet erosion occur in wide range of settings such as coastal plains, hill slopes, flood plains, and beaches. Water moving fairly uniformly with a similar thickness over a surface is called sheet erosion. So let's analyze once more the definition for sheet erosion. So in very simple terms, sheet erosion means it is in the erosion in the form of sheet. Like gully erosion, it is not in the form of channels. This is known as sheet erosion. So sheet erosion means it is the uniform removal of soil in thin layers by the forces of water or wind. That is known as sheet erosion. So water moving fairly uniformly with a similar thickness over a surface is called a sheet erosion. Now let's move on to the conservation part. There are different ways to avoid soil erosion. Few methods which is mentioned in your textbook, how can we conserve soil erosion, or else what can we practice to avoid soil erosion. So the first one which is specified over here is contour ploughing. So let's analyze what is the meaning of the term contour ploughing. What do you mean by contour ploughing? Contour ploughing is a practice of farming in which ploughing is done across a slope following its elevation contour lines. This practice is used to minimize soil erosion. So, ploughing along the contour lines that can slow down the flow of water down the slopes. So, mainly when we practice contour ploughing, we can minimize the soil erosion. The next method of soil conservation is terrace farming. Terrace farming is a type of farming in which the cultivation done in steps. It is mostly done in hilly areas. This method of farming using steps that are built into the side of a mountain or hills, on each level various crops are planted. Terrace farming is mainly practiced in western and central Himalayas. The next method is strip cropping. In cropping, large fields are divided into strips. What they will do is, in between the crops, they will grow a strip of grass, and it holds the soil together and does not let the soil to flow from each column to other, and this breaks up the force of wind. This method is called a strip farming. Now let's move on to the fourth method to conserve soil erosion, that is shelter belt. So what do you mean by shelter belt? A shelter belt is a planting usually made up of one or more rows of trees or shrubs planted in such a manner as to provide shelter or as a barrier from the wind and to protect from soil erosion. So now we will have a quick recap of the entire chapter. Today's class, we started with soil as a resource. So, soil as a resource, there we learned that soil is the most important renewable natural resource, and it is the medium of the plant growth and supports different types of living organisms on the earth. And it takes millions of years to form soil up to a few centimeters in depth. Various forces of nature, such as change in temperature, action of running water, wind and glaciers, activities of decomposers, all these contribute to the formation of soil. Then we learned about the classification of soil on the basis of the factors responsible for soil formation: color, thickness, texture, age, chemical and physical properties. The soil of India are classified into different types. They are alluvial soil. Then we learned about black soil, and the next is red soil, laterite soil, arid soil, and soil. These are the different types of soil. Next is soil erosion and soil conservation. Soil erosion, the denudation of the soil cover and subsequent washing down, is described as soil erosion, or else the removal of the top layer of the soil through wind and water is known as soil erosion. The soil erosion is caused due to human activities like deforestation, overgrazing, construction, mining, and so on. So, and the natural forces like wind, glacier, and water, which leads to soil erosion. And also, soil erosion will cause due to defective methods of farming. And finally, we learned about the different ways for soil conservation. That is, first we learned about contour plowing, terrace farming, strip cropping, and shelter belt. So these are the different ways to conserve soil. So now we completed part 3 as well as chapter 1, resources and development. So, with this, we have come to an end of this chapter. I hope you have found this informative. If you have any doubts related to this chapter, you can mail to dmcsonlinequeries@gmail.com. Thank you, students. Have a good day ahead.